Hey ho and Heidi ho, kiddos and kidettes. Welcome to another How Do We Do It at stringtheoryfabricart.com. So today, we are going to be doing embroidered greeting cards. And there are two ways that you can do this. You can either do it straight on the card, right there, or you can do it as a little applique and then put it on your card. So we're going to talk about how to do both of these things and what you need. Obviously, the first thing you're going to need is a pattern from String Theory, and you can do either straight on the card or as an applique with any of the greeting card patterns. Then, if you go to a stationery store or you go to Amazon, you can get these pre-creased greeting cards. When they're closed, they're 5x7. They come with an envelope. Yay. So that would be straight on the greeting card. Now, whether you do straight on the greeting card or on the applique, you will also need some cardstock. I've got some plain white cardstock. This is about 350 GSM. And we will be putting it on the back after we embroider to hide the stabilizer and the stitching. Again, if you do it as an applique, you'll still need cardstock. There you go. And again, this is about 300. This one might be, let's see. Yeah, this one's a little lighter. This might be 250 GSM. These are just pages, cardstock pages for scrapbooking. Speaking of scrapbooking, one of the tools that I use for both of these cards is glue tape. It's really popular in scrapbooking. It is double-sided tape, but it holds really well. You will also need glue stick, and I love the color changing glue stick so that I know when it's dry enough to embroider on. So let's talk about how we're going to do these. First up, we are going to do straight on the card. And there's a couple of things that you need to know about doing it straight on the card. The first is these cards come with a fold line. So when the card is all done, it will be like so. Cool, awesome. However, when we embroider on it, we want to fold it back this way so that when we put it on the stabilizer, this part is straight up. You want the bottom of your card laying as flat as possible so it doesn't perf. So take some lightweight, oh, did I just say lightweight? Lightweight to medium weight stabilizer, hoop it up, throw it in the machine and run color stop 1. Color stop 1 is your die line for alignment. And we'll be back in a minute. So there we go, we've got our die line down, and remember we're embroidering straight on the card. Now on the card, when you put this in the machine, you want to make sure that this straight up and down part of your card is not underneath the body of your machine. You want this sticking out to the side so that it doesn't get caught and pulled. So what we're going to do is we are going to run a couple of lines, not a lot, just a little bit. A couple of lines, and we're going to keep it in the center, probably about 4 inches or 3 inches by 4 inches, just the center part, okay? We just want to hold this card in place long enough for the stitches to get started. Now we want to align 3 sides of this card with our die line, and we're going to be almost practically on top of that. You might be able to see just a little bit of the die line once we get this card attached. And now we are going to wait for that glue that's on the back to go from purple to white. That means our glue is totally dry and we are ready to embroider without the embroidery threads catching in the glue. Once that's dry, put it in the machine and run all the rest of the color stops. For this pattern, that's going to be 2 through 8. I will see you after 8 so we can finish this card. Woohoo! And there we go, all stitched up. So You want to unhoop this carefully. You don't want to rip your card. So when you're unhooping, be very, very careful. Next, we need to trim out all of this excess stabilizer. So I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to make sure my mat's nice and clean. And since my mat's not nice and clean, I'm going to put a piece of paper down. At the borderline, go ahead and fold your stabilizer back and then grab your best pair of scissors. And we are going to cut right along that stitch line, like so. Then, you're a genius. You can figure this out. We're going to rotate it and do the same thing on the other 3 sides, being careful not to pull the stitches up through the card. As so. Also. And then one last time. Slide. There we go. Now, that's all trimmed out. We're going to set it aside for just a second. We need to cut a piece of cardstock to cover that. Otherwise, when you open your card, it's going to be... Ugh. So, I'm going to move that away. And I'm going to grab a piece of just plain white cardstock. Now, we know that card's 5 by 7. So we want to cut this just a skosh smaller, just probably 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 3/4, 4 3/4, and 6 3/4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 3/4. We want to make sure we're nice and square. Well, that's not a lot to cut off. Yay. Now, we are going to very carefully around the 4 edges and through the middle use our glue tape. So I'm going to take 1, 2, 3, 4 lines down the middle. And then I am going to carefully, all the way around the edges. Yeah, I didn't edge that. There we go. Put a piece of this double-sided glue tape, all 4 edges. Now, I am going to take my card and I am going to carefully flip this over so it's glue side to glue side. Oops. Ew. We're not going to use that piece of cardstock. Back in a second. Okay, you can guess what happened. I had already done 4 of these cards as testers. And then I did not put down a barrier between the glue tape and my mat, so that when I taped that, it got all stuck to the wrong side. So off camera, I went to cut another 6 3/4 by 4 3/4. I put glue tape on all 4 edges and down the middle. And now I am going to carefully align this so that it is nice, squared, and centered, and covering all of my stitching, like so. I'm going to start from the middle and press outward. Start from the middle and press outward, and then I'm going to run my fingers along the edges to make sure that glue tape sticks really hard. And voila, there we go. Grab my little envelope and stick my card in. And we have an Easter card. I can write whatever I want on the inside and then mail it to my bestie. Ooh, and there we go. Okay, so just like when we're embroidering straight on the card, to do the applique, we run our die line. And there's our die line. Now, once we finish our paper applique, we are going to put it on this card. This card is exactly 5 by 7. So we want our applique slightly smaller than 5 by 7. So I'm going to take my cardstock and I am going to cut my cardstock to 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. That means when I'm placing it in my die line, I am going to have to be 1, 2, 3, 4 3/4. I'm going to have to be particularly conscious and careful about what goes on there because we're going to want it nice and square and centered and level. But I found that cutting it slightly smaller before we start embroidering, ooh, I did not stay on my line there, is a lot easier than trying to cut it after it's been embroidered. And now I need 6 3/4, and that ruler's not going to do it for me, is it? I'm going to need this ruler. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 3/4. I'm going to make sure I'm nice and square, like so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 3/4. Just like, oh, you can't even see because, well, then let's slide this up. There we go. Yep, 6 3/4. Make sure I'm nice and square and level. And cut. Set all of that aside. Take my hoop with my die line, and just like we did when embroidering directly on the card, we want to put some glue in the middle just to hold that card in place for just a hot minute until the stitches get started. And again, I'm using my color changing glue so I know when it's dry, and I am eyeballing this. I am making sure that I am nice and centered and square, and I am going to press down. Then I'm going to throw it in the machine, and I am going to run color stops 2 through 8. I will see you after 8. Can you tell I washed my mat? Well, I did. So we're back, and we are working on the applique part. Okay, so just like last time, when we pop this out, we want to be careful not to torque it too much because those stitches will rip through the card, and we really do not want that. So, and just in case I didn't get everything clean, I'm putting a piece of paper down. There we go. We're going to flip this over, and like we did when we just embroidered straight on the card, we're going to fold along that banner or border line, and we are going to cut away our stabilizer. And we're going to do it on all 4 sides, nice and careful. Don't torque or bend too much out of the way. Just run right along that stabilizer and get it all the excess out of there. There we go. Careful not to cut the card. Oops. Okay. Now we are going to take our glue tape. Ooh, is that centered? No, this side's a little, and this side, I did not get centered perfectly. So I am going to trim this. That looks like it is 1/8 of an inch. So 1/8 of an inch. And then this looks like it is 1/8 of an inch. So 1/8 of an inch. And yes, I did just cut through my border paper. That's okay. What I've got laying around here are all kinds of stitch sheets. So I can just grab another one and go, woo! All right, yes, that is a lot more squared and centered. Oops. All right, then I'm going to take my card. I'm going to go ahead and pre-fold it. There we go. I'm going to take my Easter applique. Where is my tape? There is my tape. I am going to go around the 4 outside edges on the applique, like so. There we go. I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to grab a card and another piece of paper. because I don't want to get my mat all dirty again. I'm going to take my card and right through the middle, I'm going to put me 4 or 5 lines. 1. Don't go too far to the edges. There we go. All right, now I'm going to take my applique and I am going to visually align and center. Ooh, I don't want that little piece of thread sticking out. That's bad. There we go. Now, back to align and center. Align and center. Now, I am going to take a piece of cardstock. Yes, because I have a piece of cardstock candy. Haha. And I am going to press. I'm going to press the center, center, center. Oops. Center, center, center. And then I'm going to run my finger along the 4 edges and make sure. There we go. It's nice and adhered. And there is our Easter card. Okay. And there is our envelope. All right, guys. So that is how you do what you do for In the Hoop greeting cards. And let me tell you, these things are super fast. It took each of these designs about 15 minutes to stitch out. With the prep time and the finish work time, you can do each card in about 20 minutes. And they're reusable. You can use this pattern over and over and over. And 20 minutes is all you need to do some greeting cards. Peace.